First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my brother that his wife is right and I'm embarrassed to be related to him? My 24 female, brother 28 male, called me yesterday to back him up in a fight between him and his wife, 27 female. Some background context before we begin. My brother's wife had just given birth to a son a few weeks ago. So, on what happened in their fight, my brother said he made a passing remark about how his wife's stretch marks made her look less attractive. These stretch marks are as a result of her pregnancy plus giving birth. His wife got upset and called him an a-hole for making such a comment. She said that the stretch marks were as a result of bearing their child. My brother said that she couldn't blame him for not liking her stretch marks. Quoting him exactly, "Who likes how stretch marks look?" They're not on speaking terms now, and my brother basically called me to ask me to talk to his wife for him. I told him no, she was right. He was an insensitive a-hole and that he needed to apologize to her or screw off. He said that it was unfair of me to be so unpleasant to him and that he thought I would support him since I'm his sister. I told him, F that. Right now, I'm embarrassed to be related to you. He told me I was being extreme and that his feelings were deeply hurt. He called me an a-hole for this and said that I was petty. And yes, I may have been a bit extreme, but am I really the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, that his feelings were deeply hurt. Well, at least he knows how his wife feels. Please, what he's experiencing isn't even 1/millionth of the hurt the wife must be going through. Imagine enduring 9 grueling months of eldritch detention body horror and extreme mood swings with constant psychological distress as a result of hormone effery, all out of a deep and inexpressible love for your partner and your mutual desire to create something beautiful. Capping it off with the worst pain a human body can physically experience, then being told by your partner that you are uglier to them for having done all that. For them. As an act of love and expression of lifelong fidelity and dedication to them specifically. That's how much hurt the wife is going through, and how much of an a-hole the brother is. Even sitting here typing all this out, and rationally being aware of all the experiences this woman has had, I still cannot meaningfully imagine or comprehend it on a personal level as a naive 20-year-old male. My heart goes out to the poor woman, and I hope the brother sees this and realizes just how much of a gigantic, flaming, insensitive, irredeemable, borderline sociopathic a-hole he is. Not an a-hole. Can you tell my wife that everyone thinks she looks gross now? Not just me? Your brother is heading for a divorce. Not an a-hole. His feelings were hurt? His wife may now permanently question her appearance because of his insensitive comments. Screw him. Stretch marks are tiger strips earned while building another human life. Also, your brother is being either super crappy or super stupid to assume you'd blindly support him because of your relationship. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for publicly calling my father a coward and embarrassing him for leaving me with my JW mother while he escaped? I grew up in basically a cult. When I was 9, my father got a divorce from my mom and eventually moved out to another state. He would come down and see me, and my mom made it as difficult as she could to facilitate our relationship. He remarried when I was 15 and didn't even try to get custody of me after I asked. I cut him off for a while because I felt that he abandoned me completely with my psychotic mother. I'm now 19 and I've gone no contact with my mother. I stayed for a few months with my father after I moved out at 18, but got my own place shortly after college started. My father has tried for a while to reestablish a relationship, but I'm not really up for it. I see him occasionally for dinner or holidays, but other than that, I don't really engage with him. I find him as bad as my mother because he left me with her. Earlier this year, I was tagged in a Facebook post by my father's wife, wishing my father a happy birthday. It was also apparently a pregnancy announcement. She had the nerve to say my father was an amazing man, and father mentioned me by name. I ended up replying, I don't consider this man a good father. He's a coward who left me with an evil mother while he created a new family. He's going to run out on you and your kid, like he did with me. He's truly a terrible human being. It caused a bit of drama, and his wife ended up deleting the post entirely. I have been since contacted by members of his wife's family saying that they had no idea my father was that kind of man. I ignored the messages. My father and his wife both tried contacting me, which I refused to reply to. Their child was born with severe health issues, but I haven't met her yet. My father has broken down crying and apologized a few times over the past year for leaving me with my mother. He claims he was mistreated by my mother and didn't know how to deal with her. But I was the child who needed protecting, not him. I told him as such, and I have no plans to forgive him. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Listen, two things can be true here. 1, your dad was a victim. 2, your dad was a terrible father. These are not mutually exclusive things. Plus, his wife should not pretend that your dad was there for you. He got remarried when you were 15. Presumably for most of your adolescence, she didn't know you at all. So she couldn't be under the delusion that your dad had a role in your life. Please, if you can, seek therapy. You don't have to have a relationship with your dad, but therapy will help work through the very real trauma and disappointment you feel here. I mean, if I can afford therapy, I probably would have tried it. Not the a-hole. Your feelings are valid, and her parading you about as a happy child is hurtful. She brought it out for everyone to see, so were you supposed to just suffer in silence? Honestly, with your sister having health issues, things might get too hard for him, and it's possible he leaves them too because he's not emotionally stable enough. I honestly think so. He doesn't have the best track record as father, clearly. Not the a-hole. Your father was a victim too, and he decided to get himself out, which is fair enough. But he also decided to do that at the expense of leaving you behind. Alone. With a woman he knew was abusive. I don't know if I'd be able to forgive that. Ever. As in, I wish you the best, but don't ever talk to me either. So as far as I'm concerned, any relationship you have with him should always be on your terms. And he and his wife most definitely don't get to use you to display their happy family without your consent. And they deserve to be called out if they do. I agree with everyone here saying that you should do therapy. But it should be for you, not in order to restore a relationship with your father that you are absolutely entitled to choose not to have. Now, for the next story. Am I the a-hole for being angry at my fiancé's family and telling them to grow up and be better because they won't support us getting married since her older sister is still single? I, 27 male, have been with my fiancé, 27 female, for 2 years. 6 months ago, I proposed. Her family has always gotten along with me. In her culture, it was forbidden for younger siblings to marry before their older ones. Siblings had to marry in birth order. I had no idea about that. She's third-generation Canadian. Her parents don't have any siblings, so it wasn't a problem. One of her grandparents has a younger brother, but he's never been married and is more of a scholar, so it wasn't a problem. She has one sibling, 30 female. Last year, her sister's boyfriend of 7 years left the relationship because of her pressuring him to marry. He always said marriage wasn't for him, but he was okay with a committed relationship without it. They had lived together for almost 5 years. My fiancé did feel for her, but at the same time, her sister didn't listen to what he said, and she thought she could change his mind. Her family was not happy about the engagement. They say she shouldn't have gotten engaged before her sister was married, and should have said not yet to my proposal. Now they want us to wait until her sister gets married. She's completely single now, and her getting married would take years. This never came up before. They always got along with me fine. Her sister was specifically upset at hearing the news. Her 4 grandparents, great-uncle and parents are on her sister's side. We've decided not to wait to get married, because there is no end to the pandemic in sight. We're getting married Friday on our 2-year anniversary. We will do it outdoors. The only people there will be the officiant and 2 friends to be witness and take pictures and video. The 3 of them work with us. We work in a hospital. I'm a histologist and my fiancé is a respiratory therapist, so we won't be around any new people. We'll stream it for any family and friends and colleagues who want to watch, and we'll mail/email the video and photos to anyone who asks. We won't have a reception or honeymoon until things are better. Her parents, sister, grandparents and great-uncle say they will not watch the wedding. I'm angry at them. We live in modern Canada. People don't get married young as in past times. Her sister is an adult with a college degree and a full-time job, but she is being so petty and my family is supporting her. It's not we got engaged the day her sister's boyfriend left her. More than a year has passed. Am I the a-hole for being angry with her family and telling them to knock it off? She's hurt to have no family support. Work has been hell for both of us due to the pandemic, and either of us getting a day off has been like pulling teeth. No one's fault, just the pandemic. We both have to work the day after our wedding too. Besides work, we haven't left our home for anything since March. We are working extra hours. We just want one nice thing. I'm also wondering if they will be angry if my fiancé gets pregnant before her sister. I don't like seeing her hurt. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I'm also wondering if they will be angry if my fiancé gets pregnant before her sister. You bet your butt they will be angry. But who cares? Live your life. You have no idea how long you'll have to wait just to satisfy tradition. And who knows what other BS they want you to follow. Make it clear if they don't quit with this nonsense now, they will not be seeing or having access to any kids in the future. You will not put up with this, and they can grow up or get cut off. Not the a-hole. I'm aware of such traditions, and sadly in some cases, deep-rooted traditions like that are placed over happiness of people, which is unfair. You should support your fiancé, but know that you might never change their mind and be prepared for the fallout you both will receive. It's a terrible situation, but unless they want to change their minds, nothing will change. Not the a-hole. When people immigrate to more liberal countries, they are meant to assimilate their culture into that of their new home, not try to live like they did in the old world. Second generations shouldn't be bound by the rules of their parents' old homes. Your wife is a third-gen Westerner. She has all the rights of any Westerner, including marrying whom she wishes and when. Your anger at them for making her unhappy is entirely proper. Her family is not super conservative, so this was surprising. Her mother, grandmothers, her sister and herself are all educated and have careers. They aren't religious. They support same-sex marriage and have friends of other races and cultures. Her sister lived with her boyfriend for almost 5 years without being married, and I have lived with my fiancé for 6 months and they didn't care about us not being married. It was really surprising and weird that this is the thing that upsets them. It never once came up before our engagement. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for being livid after my husband invited his whole family to celebrate Christmas at our house? I've been with my husband for 4 years. We've always celebrated Christmas at his parents' house. He never let me go celebrate with my family, even though his family lives in another town. He's always complained about wanting his family to come to us instead of going to them. His sister and her husband live near my in-laws, and so they usually host a number of events, and this pisses my husband off for no reason. He says his brother-in-law isn't better than him, and doesn't even have a big house to invite people there. Clearly, he's jealous of the time his family spends with his brother-in-law. A few days ago, he started calling his family a lot but didn't tell me why. He's been acting strange, spending his time making lists / buying stuff like blankets, cups, towels, even though it's just him, me, and our son. I kept asking him, but he said those were for us. He kept asking me to reschedule my shifts. I'm a nurse working at a local hospital, and it's different from a clinic. It's always busy and requires more shifts. Yesterday, I got a call from my mother-in-law, and she surprised me by saying that she decided to come on Tuesday. Her, father-in-law, sister-in-law, brother-in-law and their kids, then husband's aunt and her husband and stepchildren, will come on Friday. I was shocked. I had no idea what she was talking about. I was able to find out from her that my husband decided to invite his whole family for Christmas at our house. I didn't make her feel I didn't know. Once I finished the call, I went to ask my husband, and he confirmed it. I was livid. This means they will be spending weeks at our house, and the cooking / cleaning / groceries will be taking so much. I have a strict schedule. I can't have any guests. He said they wanted this, but I doubt it after he brought up how brother-in-law keeps inviting them. I told him to call and tell them we can't have them at our house, and he refused. He said this will make him look bad and will upset them. He told me to calm down and think about it, but it's more people than I can handle. It's crazy. He said if brother-in-law has no issue inviting his family to a small house, why can't we? I left the room and couldn't help but feel a lot of anger. I called my mom, and she said it was better than having to go to them. But my house will be crowded, and I will be busy that I won't even be able to work shifts and earn money. Did I overreact here? Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. Don't change your schedule. Work the shifts you need to work. Your husband invited them. He can cook and clean and entertain them. Let him know that this is a circus and his monkeys, and you are not going to kill yourself doing all the work for this. Work the shifts you need to work and take whatever personal me time you need in your bedroom. But your hubby is going to need to do the lion's share of hosting duties. And don't for a second be suckered into any woman's duty BS, where everything is your job. Not an a-hole. You are a healthcare worker. There is a pandemic. He invited a crap ton of people to your house without letting you know. Tell everyone that because of COVID, you can't take the risk of being in such a large gathering. Go spend a holiday with your parents, or otherwise quarantine yourself for the duration. Let him be the one to cook, clean, etc. And they have a child. Is the husband trying to kill their son by having multiple households of people coming over? He is a pretty crap partner, but an even worse father. I hope Opie outs her husband and nips this dangerous plan in the bud. Not an a-hole. If he refuses to call his family back, you should celebrate Christmas with your family and leave the cooking/cleaning/groceries for your in-laws up to your husband.